Well, today is September 7th, 48 hours after the events of All Out. Many people have been wondering what is the outcome of what took place behind backstage. Well, we're going to find out anyway. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing the latest GLEAT show version 32, where we have, of course, the G Infinity tag titles on the line in a showdown between BULK Orchestra members. And of course, after that, we have the latest Burning Spirit Day 4 by New Japan Pro Wrestling. And of course, we cannot forget some news updates. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with the latest GLEAT show, G Pro Wrestling version 32, that took place on the 4th of September this past Sunday. It opened up with Strong Heart member EC Onitsuka taking on 60 Seconds member John Tonsho. Now, this is the first time that I've seen some members of 60 Seconds go on one-on-one, except for the leader, Tetsuya Izushi. But seeing this was a lot more interesting to see. It was a pretty good match, but I did notice how Onitsuka, he actually is a bit of a hothead, but it cost him dearly when he was sort of pinned in a Mahastral type pin by Tonsho, giving him his first victory. However, Tonsho was doing his own promo until he was attacked by the new free agent Kaito Shida, who eventually is no longer with Dragon Gate. I don't know what he has been causing problems. We don't know what's his real intentions, even though there's no translation to the GLEAT shows why he was there. So hopefully I'll figure that out as soon as possible. But I'm assuming he's trying to make a name for himself in GLEAT. Next up, we got members of Strong Hearts, T-Hawk and Shigehiro Iri teaming up with 60 Seconds member Keiji Sato. Now, this is very unusual for me to see those two, Sato teaming up with 60 Seconds. Now, keep in mind, before 60 Seconds ever was formed, Strong Hearts always and BULK Orchestra has been proving themselves that they are we're trying to prove who is the dominating faction, and I think that kind of tells it all. But they face a very unique team. But we have Soma Watanabe, Quiet Storm from BULK Orchestra, and someone who I haven't seen for quite some time in All Japan Pro Wrestling. Talking about Zeus. Now, I did not anticipate Zeus to be there. I think it was very unusual, but I think he might be into the whole thing with GLEAT, and it was a pretty good match. But Zeus was the one who picked up the win by doing I don't know, was it a Fisherman Buster or a Brain Buster? I couldn't tell the difference, but he picked up a very good win when he took out Keiji Sato. 1, 2, 3. Good night. Now, our next match is IWF rules match. We got Yu Izuka and Seishi Ikemoto. Now, this is the first. Now, I've seen Ikemoto mostly participates in UWF rules match, but I thought the match was pretty intense. But at the same time, he actually picked up the win by an armbar. Izuka had no other choice but to tap out. Next up, we have a very interesting intergender match. We have Michiko Miyagi versus Shima. Now, Some of you saying, why did GLEAT do this? Me, I don't know, but I think maybe they wanted to display. Now, I seen Michiko Miyagi. She's a fantastic wrestler. I felt like she has become like the dominating Yoshi wrestler in GLEAT, since GLEAT was formed. But however, Shima, he is a legend in the wrestling community. Not to mention, he was with Dragon Gate, um, formed the faction known as Strong Hearts. Then, of course, traveled to China for Oriental Wrestling Entertainment. We don't know what's been going on with them. And then, of course, now he's been everywhere, New Japan, All Japan, wherever he's going to go. But I thought this match was very interesting, but it was mostly dominated by Shima. He picked up a very good win when he applied the Meteora, and 1, 2, 3, it was done. But in post match, they had a little fun giving her the opportunity to pin Shima, and that's exactly what she did. But it was Onisuka who played ref in this one. Now, our next match, we have Kaz Ayashi teaming up with the current G-Rex champion, Elenda Man, to take on Takanori Ito and Minoru Tanaka. Now, Takanori Ito had his issues with Kaz Ayashi misfiring him by applying one of his moves on him, and now he teams up with another person who I feel maybe will be a perfect fit for him. There was a moment where he had El Lindemann right where he wanted him, and Minoru Tanaka gave him a roundhouse kick right into the face, and then German suplex by Ito, giving the win. So I think Ito must have feel, okay, maybe I am much better suited teaming up with Tanaka. So I think that's the real case. Now our main event is the the G Infinity Championship, which is the tag titles. We have BULK Orchestra members, the challengers, Czech Shimotani and Hayato Tamura, to take on the champions, the newly inaugurated first ever champions, Kazuma Sakamoto and Ryuichi Kawatami. And of course, presenting this entire event is none other than former Dragon Gate star Masato Yoshino, who is currently retired. I thought this match was very interesting because I felt bad for Quiet Storm, who, on the other hand, he was caught in the middle of this little fiasco that Czech and Hayato caused. Now, you probably ask, how could this? Why would they? They're not afraid to fight each other, but I think this was the last thing that Kawatani expected. You crown newly champions, and then your own teammates challenge you. But I can tell by Kawatami, he will do anything to make sure the title stays with him. Now, some people say, but can this title stay with BULK Orchestra? To be honest with you, yes. But sometimes there's the pride of the champions who hold those titles that want to hold on to those. That's always been the case. But however, it was the inside curl by Czech onto Kazuma Sakamoto that allowed them to become the brand new G Infinity Tag Champions. Now, you probably assume, okay, would it be challengers? Looks like their challengers come in left and right. Now, if I was GLEAT, set up another tournament just to make things better for everyone, please. I feel that's what they need to do. So, but I have to say, the show was pretty good. I can't wait for version 33 to come out real soon. So we'll see what happens then. Right now, let's move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, day 4 of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Burning Spirit. Open up with Hiromu Takahashi getting the people riled up, get them going, fired up for a good show. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I feel that Hiromu is a good hype man to open up the show. I mean, he knows how to get the people to cheer, how all this and that. Because if you guys remember when he was injured, he did all of that the entire time. Even when he comes back from injury, he does that. But there's nothing wrong with that. Now, our opening match, we have a 6-man tag team match. We have the Young Lions, Kosa Fujita, Ryu Oiwa, and Yuto Nakashima taking on Suzuki Goons. Taka Michinoku, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and of course Minoru Suzuki. But one thing that I did like about this match is the Young Lions. They took the fight straight to Suzuki-gun, no matter what. Now, Suzuki-gun, we know they are the most dangerous faction in New Japan, and I think that's what makes why the Young Lions made their move. Now, however, I think the obvious question is, could they pull it off? Well, sadly, Yuto Nakashima ended up on the wrong side of a sleeper hold by none other than Minoru Suzuki. And of course, he didn't stay to celebrate. He decided, screw it, I'm out of here. Maybe he was pissed because he did not anticipate that taking place. But who knows what the real reason was. Next up, the most hated faction in New Japan, House of Torture. Once again with the dog cage, Dick Togo, Sho, Yujiro Takashima, and of course Evil to take on the DKC Chaos members, the current 6-man Never Openweight Tag Team Champions, Sho, Yoshihashi, and Goto. And they brought a little doghouse as for fun because they're beginning their campaign, No More House of Torture. They're trying to find a way to eradicate them out of existence since they've been a problem with New Japan since day one, since they first came around. However, things did not go according to plan. They've been fighting each other, been going at war, but however, it was Evil who plied Everything is Evil on DKC to win the match. However, in post-match, they put Goto in the dog cage and broke his stick that he uses when he comes out. As you know, this is the most evilest thing these guys have done, but they'll get their asses handed back to them when that day comes by Goto. Next up, we got the Bullet Club, Hikuleo, Chase Owens, and Balak Fale to take on the United Empire, Gideon Gray, Great Khan, and Jeff Cobb. Now, keep in mind, Cobb and Khan have been trying to get back on the page to get the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles from FTR. But, however, it appears that Chase Owens and Balak Fale, so they're like on a path. It's like, who will be the team to get those titles back? I think that's the obvious question that many people have asked, about who will be that team. But however, in this particular match, we saw that Hikuleo was about to choke slam Gideon Gray once again, but Gray gave up sooner, realizing that he wasn't going to give Hikuleo the satisfaction of a choke slam, but apparently he continued on to attack him, but apparently it did not do any good. Bullet Club sent a clear message saying they are the most dominating faction, but of course Jeff Cobb had made it clear, no you're not, you guys are done. But Jay White, he's not going to let that happen. Now our next match, we have Yado teaming up with 6 or 9, Wado and Taguchi to take on the other members of United Empire, Henare, Francesco Akira, and of course TJP. Now keep in mind, 6 or 9 are determined to get the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles back, but of course Akira and TJP don't believe they have what it takes. They're not going to take that. But it was Henare who pulled off the full Nelson Lug onto Yado in order to win the match. But of course, the battle between the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles are now at stake. Next match, we got Kushida teaming up with Tomoaki Hamna to take on Bullet Club's Geto and Taguchi. Now, Taiji Ishimori. Now, keep in mind, Taichi wants to get his hands on Ishimori for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. So basically, that's always been the case. So it was, of course, the bridge suplex that finished off Geto, who was the weakest link. I have to say, it's sending a clear message, Kushida, to Ishimori that he will not be denied this opportunity, despite the fact that Ishimori claims, I beat you once. So that kind of tells us the whole thing. Next, we got Suzuki-gun members El Desperado and Taichi taking on Zack Sabre Jr. And Zack Sabre Jr. take on the members of LIJ, Hirobushi, Sanada, and Tetsuya Naito. Now, keep in mind, in this type of match, Zack Sabre Jr. has his issues towards Naito. There's a bit of a rivalry competition between both Sanada and Taichi. Hiromu and Desperado, whatever, you know what I mean? but it was Taichi that picked up the win onto Bushi. However, the rivalry between Sonata and Zack Sabre Jr. is never going to end because Zack Sabre Jr. is still pissed off with him after what happened at the G1. Next up, we got TMDK, Bad Dude Tito, Shane Hayes, and Jonah on once taking on Hiroshi Tanahashi and Chaos members Yano and Okada. Now keep in mind, Jonah's on a mission to beat Okada or destroy him, however you want to see it. But in the other hand, Yano's tricks did not work this time onto Jonah. It may have worked at the G1, but he ended up on the wrong side of Torpedo, giving TMDK the win, and TMDK are making it clear that they're going to be running the place. I hate to say this, I would like to see TMDK and United Empire fight for who's going to take control of New Japan. Now, our main event, we have El Phantasmo and Kenta taking on the other members of LIJ, Shingo Takagi and Hiromu Takahashi. Now, El Phantasmo has been nothing but a problem for Shingo because El Phantasmo's telling everyone, hey, I beat Shingo, so that makes me his daddy. You know Shingo, he's not going to take this crap from El Phantasmo. But however, in this particular match, El Phantasmo got away with it by low blowing Shingo, giving him the win. However, the Bullet Club decides to humiliate Shingo, but Shingo fought back, teaching him a lesson, knowing don't ever screw with me again. So you can tell that this war between Phantasmo and Shingo is not going to be done until somehow Shingo shut the mouth of El Phantasmo once and for all. So I think that's pretty much it what took place in New Japan. I believe it's time for AEW Dynamite. Okay, 48 hours ago we heard what took place right after All Out in the backstage after the media scrum. CM Punk went on and dissed the EVPs, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. A lot of people didn't know what to expect after this. However, Tony Khan addressed it, and I want to say I feel bad to Tony Khan knowing that he had a big mess he had to take care of. And he made the announcement that the AEW World and the Trios Championships were vacant. Now, some of you can say, is this the right call or the wrong call? Now, for my opinion, I feel it was the right call. You know, and I will be doing a video about that and talk about that on my podcast soon enough, because I feel this is a very touchy subject. But he did state it that we were going to have a brand new Trios Championship. Apparently they put the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy to take on the members of Death Triangle. And of course there's going to be a tournament all the way to Grand Slam taking place in 2 weeks time for to crown a brand new AEW World Champion. So we'll get to that. Now, we expected the arrival of MJF. We haven't seen him in months. We do know that he made his surprise appearance on All Out right after when we saw the Devil became the Joker, you know, during the Casino ladder match, taking that whole thing. However, many people already speculate it was MJF, so MJF felt like he turned face in this particular thing. But here comes Moxley, you know, who doesn't believe a crap about it, because we know Moxley and MJF had confronted each other in the past. Now, MJF once again went back to his usual self, telling the people of Buffalo they suck, they have the worst football team. You know, of course, it's the same old MJF that will never change. However, Moxley said he was not in a good mood. He's practically pissed off, but not at the fans. He's pissed off knowing that he lost the AEW World title the way he did. However, he had no time to cry, but he's happy that he's back on foot because he's involved in the tournament. So I thought it was pretty proper. It's like, okay, MJF feels he should be a well-deserving champion. But however, he did indicate it that when he wins the title, he's going to take it to WWE. So he thinks that AEW doesn't deserve this title. But we'll see what takes place when the day comes. Now, our first opening match we have is the AEW World Trios Championships that are vacant. We have Death Triangle, Penta, Phoenix, and Pac, along with Alex Brahamontes, taking on the Best Friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, and of course Orange Cassidy, being accompanied by Danhausen. I thought this match was pretty good because it showed, okay, here's well-established trios teams that we know of. So the real obvious question, who was going to walk out? Now, it could have gone either way who was going to win, but it was, of course, the Black Arrow by Pac that finished off Chuck Taylor, making Death Triangle the brand new AEW World Trios Champion. So, congratulations on that. Now, speaking of what took place at the Trios Championship, it was revealed during an interview that Alex Reynolds was injured. So he'll be out. Looks more like everybody's getting injured in Dark Order. However, Jose the assistant shows up, saying that they want 10 to join to work for Andrade. Now, Dark Order are trying to say that 10 has no interest, but Andrade made it clear that they're there to talk to 10. Now, this is the same kind of scenario we've seen with Andrade when it came to recruiting people. He did the same thing with Darby Allin, but Darby was not interested because he thinks that he was working for Sting. No, Sting treat him equally. That's always been the clear case. Now, our next match is an eliminator match. Penelope Ford coming back, taking on Toni Storm. Now, if Penelope Ford wins the match, she gets an opportunity of the AEW Interim Women's Championship, which is something that I'm sure that she would like to compete. But Toni Storm was able to adapt to whatever Penelope Ford was trying to do, and that's what she's good at. So she implied a DDT onto her. 1, 2, 3. It was over right from there. Now, the Acclaim comes out doing their usual thing, but they were interrupted by Swerve Strickland because it was foretold now that at Grand Slam and Arthur Ashe, the Acclaim will have another opportunity of the AEW World Tag Team titles against Swerve and Our Glory. Now, Swerve decided to bust their chops on this, but however, Acclaim wasn't going to let the satisfaction. So basically saying that they will walk out as the brand new tag team champions in 2 weeks' time. So I think that is something we definitely got to wait and see, because I know many fans felt they should have won these tag titles in All Out because they were getting the bigger pop. And I'm sure this time, if they do win, they get the biggest pop. Now, we get an interview with Chris Jericho. As you know, he has been going up the bid how happy he beat Bryan Danielson, but however, he made it clear to Daniel Garcia that he's not going to be there to be by his side. So Daniel Garcia is on his own. So I think that kind of puts it in a very perspective. But however, Tony Schiavone was trying to make a point about, okay, we are going to see Sammy Guevara, who also is going to be part of the world title tournament taking place all the way to Arthur Ashe. So they kind of avoided the subject on that. Now, our next match is a bit of an open challenge for the TNT title. We have Wardlow versus Tony Nese. You know, this match ended with Tony Nese being Powerbomb Symphony, but he was about to do the same to Sterling. But this time, Josh would save Sterling, but Wardlow made out a very interesting promo that he feels that people saying that he's not the same guy. I beg to differ. He is going to be a very interesting person because he will challenge people left and right. Now, we begin with our first match for the Grand Slam Tournament of Championship. We have Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Page. Now, Bryan Danielson, he had pursued the AEW title before, but he lost to Hangman. Hangman was the champion at the time. So I thought this match was pretty good because it showed, okay, can Bryan Danielson overcome Hangman? The last time he did not. They had a 1-hour match, which was pretty good. And I thought it was very, that Bryan Danielson put up the best violence scenario he could, but Hangman fought back on various occasions. But it was the bridge back that gave Bryan Danielson to win the match and advances. So the obvious question: who is he going to face? Well, Jericho and John Moxley have the bye, but once again, Bryan Danielson will be confronted by Jericho again. But the obvious question: will Bryan Danielson adapt to what happened this past Sunday on All Out to beat him? This match will take place next week. Now, Jungle Boy, as you know, he's dealing with the way the match ended. But it was foretold that Christian is out. He's injured, so he's going to be out for a couple of months. But right now, Jungle Boy made it clear that he will be focusing on the person that betrayed him, Luchasaurus. So this is going to be a much interesting development and storyline between Jungle Boy and his former tag partner, Luchasaurus. Now, a lot of questions have been trying to apply to what happened in All Out during the Casino Ladder match. Why did Stokely Hathaway did what he did? Well, he said he wanted his moment, but somebody from production is telling him, you got to cut it. You can't do this. They beat up the guy for no reason. But sooner or later, Stokely Hathaway will get his day, because Stokely feels like he's been disrespected, felt that he's not getting the credibility he gets. That's why he recruited the Gun Club, W. Morrissey, Ethan Page, and Lee Moriarty. So whatever the scenario is, we'll see what takes place. Now for our main event, we have the Ring of Honor Pure Championship between challenger and hometown hero Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta. Now, these two have confronted each other in the past. Now, Wheeler Yuta walked away as the champion, retaining his title at Death Before Dishonor, but this time this is different. I have to say Daniel Garcia put up his best A game, but I think what I did like about this match, it showed that he didn't need the Jericho Appreciation Society by his side. He could do things by himself, and I think that's the most important. I think he put on the best performance of his life. Now, they asked him, ask William Regal, would they consider him making him a member of Blackpool Combat Club? But William Regal said they would love to, but however, we need competitors for Wheeler Yuta. So he's like saying, I don't think he's the right fit. I feel he's the perfect fit for Yuta to be a competitor. And I think that kind of shows us, okay, so he doesn't see it. But I feel that Bryan Danielson's in it. We need guys like him. So, but one thing I led Daniel Garcia pulled off the Scorpion Deathlock very deep on the Yuta, but Yuta could not. Try to grab his head, tried to wrench him out, but it did not work. But of course, Yuta had no other choice but to tap out, making Daniel Garcia the new ROH Pure Champion. And of course, the Code of Honor has been established. Even Bryan Danielson, who comes out, he puts on the title to Daniel Garcia. Jericho, on the other hand, comes out like going, what the F, He did not anticipate this was going to happen. But I think the obvious question is, if you had a problem with him not being there in your celebration the last time, why weren't you there the last time with him? You allow Bryan Danielson to step up. So I think that puts it, okay, maybe the story's going to say, okay, Daniel Garcia feels like you weren't here for me, but here's Bryan Danielson, he was here for me. So I think we could see that story, that maybe Garcia will be on his way out from Blackpool, from the Jericho Appreciation Society. So we'll see what happens then. So I think that's pretty much what took place in AEW. My bad, I'm falling asleep. So we'll see what happens afterwards. So we're going to be seeing Rampage. They continue on with the GLEAT Tournament of Championship. So we'll see. So right now, let's move on with our last thing, which is news updates. Okay, welcome to the news updates. Now, this was announced recently on Twitter. There's going to be an interesting press conference taking place on the 8th of September. between Pro Wrestling Noah and Dragon Gate. Now, recently we have been seeing members of the Noah Junior division making their way to Pro Wrestling Noah. We already saw that with Los Perros del Mar de Japón when they challenged the whoever hold the Open the Triangle Gate Championship, and we saw that many occasions. Now, recently, I only saw a clip of it. The members of the Noah Junior regulars made their way to Pro Wrestling Noah, helped out the Natural Vibes against Z-Brats. Now, those who don't know, Yohei will actually began his career in Dragon Gate, so he felt like he's back home where it all began from. So we don't know what to anticipate what's going to take place in between Noah and Dragon Gate. But I'm going to assume that they want to elevate the junior heavyweight division for both sides. So I think if you guys know this or remember, Dragon Gate are a junior heavyweight their competitor, all their talent are junior heavyweight competitors. So that would make a lot of sense. Now, Pro Wrestling Wave, Yoshi Promotion Pro Wrestling Wave has announced that there's going to be a tag team title match taking place also on the 8th, where we're going to have Galaxy Punch, consistent of the newly crowned champions Hikari Shimizu and Saki, that take on Luminous from World Women Pro Wrestling Diana, Miyuki Takase, and Haruka Umasaki. Now, these two ladies are the current tag champions in Diana, so this is going to be interesting to see, can they beat them to become double champions? That's the obvious question, so we'll see what happens then. Now, if you guys are big fans of FMW-E, which is Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling Explosion, Onita said that he's going to have a match against Andressa the Giant Panda. This is the first time in 5 years they're going to have it's going to take place in Hokkaido. It's going to be an electric current bombing. Now, have you ever seen that giant panda that makes the wrestles? You probably know what I'm talking about. So this is going to be interesting. But I don't recall if this giant panda actually been in the deathmatch style. I don't know. But we'll see. Wrestling Revolver has announced that for their upcoming event later on this month, Tales from the Ring, on the 17th of September, I Got Kids. That's right. Heat will make his debut. Recently, I've been noticing many Impact Wrestling stars have been making their way there because Sami Callihan owns the place. He's the promoter. Now, Warrior Wrestling announced the most biggest dream match tag team we're ever going to see. We're going to see the Lucha Brothers versus the Briscoes. Now, this is definitely a dream match. I don't think they've ever confronted each other. But you have two sets of brothers. Nothing compare like the Young Bucks, but this is something we definitely gonna enjoy. Now, Pro Wrestling Revolution has announced that for their upcoming event, the King of Indies 2022, that will take place in San Francisco, will be actually holding their event on the 19th. But they've been announcing for wrestlers from all over the world to come by, and for their surprise, they got Katsuhiko Nakajima from Noah making his way. So this is a good thing. I'm not sure if this is Nakajima's first time coming to the U.S., but this is going to be really fun and interesting development. I'm sure everybody will be prepared for that. Danny Rivera, also known as Danny Limelight, who is part of the 5150 and Team Filthy, has announced that he is now a free agent. Now, he did not specify, is he referring to that he's a free agent from MLW or New Japan Strong. So, as you know, he did mention in a recent interview that he doesn't know what's been going on with MLW. That right now they're like in some sort of a hiatus, and he was disappointed that he didn't get involved in Battle Riot 4, because this took place in his hometown of New York. So he never specified, is he a free agent from MLW or New Japan Strong. That's still unclear. Now, wrestling veteran Ricky Fuji, it was announced that apparently he collapsed from a cerebral infarction, but we all hope that he will be making a recovery because he had an emergency surgery. So thoughts and prayers and positive vibes for Ricky Fuji. Hopefully he pulls through. Now, as you know, the Keiji Mutoh retirement tour has been taking place as we speak. There were a lot of talks about where could this be, what will be the last day of his retirement, the last official match of Keiji Mutoh. There was talk about possibly at Tokyo Dome. That was the strong possibility they have talked about, and now it's been confirmed. Yes, he'll have his last match in Tokyo Dome on the 21st of February. However, it's still unclear who will be his last opponent. That is still undetermined, but we'll find out. But I do hope it's Hiroshi Tanahashi, because Tanahashi put his name out there as amongst those wrestlers that want to be involved in his retirement. Now, New Japan has announced for their upcoming return to Australia and New Zealand in November for New Japan Tamashii that will be taking place very soon. I'm kind of curious how this is going to go. As you know, New Zealand is the home of course, Jay White and BULK Fale. Australia, we know where, of course, that's where Robbie Eagles and Aussie Open are from. But hopefully we'll see what takes place. No official word what matches are going to take place in November for that. But as the months we get closer and closer, we will find out soon enough. So I think that's pretty much it. I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we only have is Impact Wrestling, but I am considering adding some stuff like events that I haven't seen yet with GCW, Gunbari Pro. Hopefully I get to see day 12, I think? Day 12 of Stardom's 5-Star Grand Prix. We're still going on for that, so we'll be seeing what takes place during that time. But we'll see what I'll be winging it, how it goes. Like I said, Impact Wrestling will be on the list, but whatever I'm going to put before that is still undetermined. So we'll see what happens. So for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.